Namaste and welcome to the Narrative Now. My name is Sudhanshu Sharma. Today, we will discuss Prime Minister Narendra Modi's successful state visit to Indonesia. You see, my friends, he has just concluded the visit and is now heading to Melbourne, Australia. In this video, we will break down the 20 key outcomes from the visit in simple and clear terms, from defense and technology to farming to health and culture. You will see exactly what India has achieved and why it matters. So, let's begin. Friends, as you already know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has finished his state visit to Indonesia and he has now left for Melbourne in Australia for the second leg of his three country tour. And in a friendly gesture, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto personally came to the airport to see the Prime Minister off. But beyond the warm welcome, what did India actually gain from this visit? Today, we will break down 20 of the most important outcomes in simple and clear terms. These are results in defense, trade, technology, health, farming, culture, and more. Let us see why they matter for India. And first on that list is the cooperation on the BrahMos missile system, showing the strength of India's defense industry. But it also supports Atmanirbhar Bharat. It boosts local manufacturing and opens the door for future exports and new ideas. Then there is the air to air missile cooperation agreement, which will increase India's defense exports and support Make in India. But it will also improve technology sharing and makes defense capabilities stronger for both the countries. And then Indonesia will get to place a liaison officer in India's Information Fusion Center for the Indian Ocean region, which will improve real time sharing of maritime information and will strengthen sea security cooperation in the Indo Pacific. And then there is the extension of the agreement on maritime safety and security, which makes cooperation between the two coast guards stronger. It improves coordination in sea awareness, search and rescue, and capacity building. But it also promotes safe navigation in the Indo Pacific. And next, there is the agreement between India's National Disaster Management Authority and Indonesia's Disaster Management Agency, which will help share best practices, use technology for early warnings, and improve coordination during disasters. All that was just in the defense and technologies sector. Next is the economic and industry partnerships, under which the first agreement was on minerals and the technology of steel supply chains. This will promote investments in mining, give access to better extraction and processing technologies, encourage joint studies, and strengthen critical mineral supply chains. Then there is the partnership between Indian centers and Indonesian companies to develop rare earth magnets. This will advance the cooperation in rare earths and critical minerals and help diversify our supply chains. Then there is the joint venture between the Steel Authority of India and an Indonesian steel company to set up a stainless steel manufacturing facility. This will advance joint production and technology access. It will create jobs, especially for the youth, and will support India's industrial development and the Viksit Bharat goals. Next is the agreement on cooperation in agriculture and allied sectors, which will advance sustainable farming, crops, and machinery. It will promote joint research that will benefit farmers and will enable better food security and higher incomes for both the countries. And then there is the agreement where India will supply 100 tons of high quality wheat seeds to Indonesia, which will support food security for Indonesia and for the global south and will build stronger agricultural cooperation. Now, let's talk about technology and the digital wins of this visit. And first, under that comes the cooperation between India's open network for digital commerce and Indonesia's open network, which will promote cooperation in digital public infrastructure. It will be modeled on India's ONDC system and will make services more accessible, efficient, and inclusive for people of both countries. Then there is the agreement on cooperation in telecommunication technologies and services, which will improve access to advanced technologies, including wireless and quantum systems, and will support joint innovation. With the next agreement being on research, technology, and innovation cooperation, which will strengthen India's innovation ecosystem, will enable knowledge exchange and best practices, and will advance the startup ecosystem, including Startup India. Next, my friends, let's move on to the health, education, and the cultural outcomes. This visit also helped implement the arrangement on health workforce collaboration, which will facilitate fellowship programs for health professionals, advance mobility of doctors and nurses, and will promote hands on clinical training in specialized fields. And then there is the agreement between India's drug regulator and Indonesia's regulator on medical products. This enables knowledge exchange on global standards, strengthens regulatory cooperation, and builds trust in Indian medical products for easier market access in Indonesia. But that is not it. In the education sector, the Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore will be setting up a branch campus in Indonesia, which will showcase India's academic excellence globally and will strengthen India's reputation as a knowledge hub. Moving on to culture, India will provide assistance for the conservation and the restoration of the Prambanan Temple complex in Yogyakarta, which coincides with Modi ji's mantra of Vikas bhi, Virasat bhi, development and heritage together, and will advance the preservation of shared heritage and will strengthen India's cultural diplomacy. And then, my friends, there is the commemoration of the Tagore Devantara Year of Cultural and Educational Diplomacy, which will celebrate the shared vision of Rabindranath Tagore and Indonesia's Ki Hajar Devantara. It marks the centenary of Rabindranath Tagore's visit in 1927, with a year long program of joint culture, educational, and people to people initiatives. Then, my friends, is the agreement between India's Election Commission and Indonesia's General Elections Commission, which will facilitate knowledge sharing, best practices, and the use of technology for efficient administration. And finally, an extension of the framework agreement was reached on the cooperation in outer space for peaceful purposes. This will promote joint research, technology sharing, and capacity building, but it will also reinforce a 3 decade long space partnership. These 20 outcomes show a strong and practical partnership between India and Indonesia, from missiles and minerals to digital networks and temples. India is delivering real results that matter, and this visit strengthens India's position in the Indo Pacific and will help both countries grow together. And from here, my friends, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's journey continues to Australia, where we will keep watching and explaining what that visit will mean for India. So, what do you think is the most important outcome from the Indonesia visit? Tell us in the comments below. And if you like clear and honest analysis, please like, share, and subscribe to the narrative now. Also, do not forget to hit that bell icon. Jai Hind!